So if it wasn't for President Obama, my husband and I would never have met. I mean, how does a Kenyan girl and a Nigerian boy, meet, get married, and make a beautiful life? So anyway, this is how the story goes. In 2014 was the first year that the YALI program ran. YALI program is President Obama's flagship program for Africa. YALI stands for Young African Leaders Initiative, and in this program they took the best of Africa's young leaders. They actually were working on various projects that are socio-economic projects that were actually making a mark. And so I happened to be a Kenyan lady that was doing amazing work. So I was part of that program. We went to the US for 6 weeks and had a beautiful program, ended up meeting Michelle Obama, a lot of powerful leaders. Yeah. So my husband was in the YALI network. So other than the YALI Mandela Washington Fellowship, there's generally the YALI network. Anyone can be part of it. And if you're a young person, find out about YALI and be part of the program. So we go to the US, do our program, and everybody goes back to their host countries. I go back to Kenya, continue doing my work. I go on to do other postings in other African countries, but generally I'm in Kenya. My husband is in Nigeria doing his work. So bear in mind, up until this point, we haven't met physically, we haven't made contact, we haven't spoken. So everyone is in their countries, everyone is doing everything, life is moving on. So at that point, you have so many friend requests, you have people in your network, everybody knows everybody, and everybody knows everybody that knows everybody. So I'm living my life, and life continues. So my husband is actually keeping tabs on me, checking up on me over the years. He knows what I'm doing, and all this time, honestly, I don't know that he's checking me out, but he knows. And because there are some Nigerian friends that actually knew me and actually are his friends, I mean, he knows one or two things about me, like he's not green on things. And I mean, with the internet, you get to know, if you check LinkedIn, you know where somebody is. On Facebook, we are connected, but up until this point, he hasn't spoken. So life continues, and I mean, you don't keep tabs on who is always liking your stuff on, say, Facebook or whatever. So I was never active on Instagram, but yeah, Facebook. So not so active, but I mean, you can't tell who is always checking you out and who is doing what. But I'm not really quite active on social media. So let's fast forward to, was it 2017, early 2017. So he writes to me and he says, like, you know what, I'm coming to Kenya and I really have to meet you. I have to meet you. I want us to talk about some things. I want to take you out for dinner. So at that point in my life, I was actually on a sabbatical on so many things, even career-wise, I was slowing down. I was really tired. I was going through it, and I was like, you know what, I need to slow down, think about what I want to do, personally, whether it's career-wise and all those things. And the thing with this network is that it's so rich. There's always somebody in your country, one time or the other. So every other time there's a request, oh please, I'm coming to your country, can we meet, can we link up, I'd like help on one or two things, or can we have a drink, can we have dinner? So in my mind I was like, is this one of those guys? And honestly, at that point I wasn't looking for anything, and at that point I was actually not even, I was not going out for drinks, I was not doing anything social. I was like taking a proper sabbatical. So we speak, I say, you know what, we just speak, and I'm like, oh, I'm not sure, how long are you around? He goes like, I'm here for a few days, please create some time. I really want to meet you, not just once, but I'd really like you to be part of my trip. So I find out what he's doing. He's coming for a bit of work. I find out where he's staying. So the day he lands on Saturday night. That particular Saturday, I was actually throwing a baby shower for a friend, and we really stayed, we did the baby shower, and then we stayed overnight, just talking, catching up, chilling, and all that. So at around, I think he landed around midnight or 1 a.m. He writes like, oh, I'm around. So I'm battling like, okay, I'm sure he's made arrangements of, how he's getting picked up from the airport and going to his place. I mean, he was staying in Lavington and all that. So I was like, I was not worried. Plus, why am I meeting him at night? So I'm like, let's speak tomorrow. So in the morning, around 5:36, I'm like, let me quickly dash out of our girlfriend's party so I can go home and sleep and probably catch a few hours before church because I needed to go to church. So at 6:30 a.m. I find a good morning message. I'm like, this guy is really persistent. I'm like, okay, does he even know I'm just going to sleep now? I want to sleep, you know, maybe from 6:30 to around 10:30, make the 11 a.m. church. So we are talking, it's like, okay, there was a delay at where I was staying, and what are you up to? It's a Sunday, you know, I have the whole day free and all that. So I'm like, I've barely slept. We've practically been partying all of Saturday and till morning. We're having a house party. So how do I now, just find my way to him? So I told him, no, it's okay. You know what? You rest, figure out your surroundings. Then during the week, I'll meet you. So Monday was quite busy for both of us. I had a back-to-back. He was also really busy because it was his first day in Kenya. So obviously we didn't meet. On Tuesday, he proposes, let's meet for jazz. There's a place, it was called something Slims, off Valley Road. I forget the name. So I used to really like going for jazz there on Tuesdays. But he didn't know that we've never spoken about it. So it's like, I was doing some research and there's this particular place called Slims. Please, let's meet for jazz. I really like jazz. And I'm like, I've never put it out anywhere that I like this place, but every other Tuesday I would, not every other Tuesday, but a lot of Tuesday I would actually go there for jazz, and they had really nice food and all that. So I was like, quite interesting that, he'd find this place. That's not a place that anybody or everybody knows. So I was like, okay, but he was with his colleagues, some from the UK and what have you. So I was like, okay, you never know, small world. But I was like, at least. So Tuesday goes, Wednesday. Then he tells me, do you actually know that I'm leaving on Friday morning? Are you not going to see me? So in my mind, I was like, man, I like this guy, but I'm just in this season in my life where I don't want to, at that point, I liked him as a person. I admired him. I thought he was amazing. He was everything. He's smart. He's brilliant. He's a gentleman. I was like, man, do I really want to do this? Because I know the kind of conversation we'd have, and honestly, I don't want to entangle myself at that, I don't want to get involved. So anyway, on, was it Thursday? Wednesday. So I have a meeting at Gigiri at the UN complex, and I'm like, okay, let me see how it goes. Let me finish my meeting, and then we'll see. But now what do I do? Because I'm foolish. I almost gave away my husband. So what happened is that I called my friend. I was like, please, I'm going to meet somebody really amazing. Please come with me, because I know she wanted a boyfriend. Really, she didn't mind. She wanted that guy. I was like, okay, there's really a nice person. Let's go and meet. I'm going to meet him, because I was like, there's traffic, because I finished around, is it 4 or 5? I was like, instead of going home and sitting in traffic, let's just go and catch up. So I ask him what's up. So he was somewhere in Kilimani, but he was staying in Lavington. So we agree, I'll pick him up at Lavington. Let him go and drop off his laptop, whatever he has, and then pick him up. And then I asked him, where do you want to go? Nigerians and fine places. He wanted to go to Brew Bistro in Westlands. I was like, okay, that's another place I like. I like Brew Bistro generally. So or rather, I liked Brew Bistro. So I was like, okay, this guy seems to be getting it right. It's like he knows the places I would usually go to, and he knows the places I kind of like. So I was like, okay, not a bad choice. So I'll pick you up at Lavington, drop me a pin. Anyway, we go. So you see, I'm with my friend, right? So I go, I'm going to pick him up when the gate opened and all that. He came up, he was downstairs, and he was with someone. So I was like, okay, interesting. He didn't tell me he was with someone. So anyway, 2 guys get in the car. So we are 2 chicks at the front, then they are at the back. So I'm like, oh, hi, how are you? Came out, and then, we greeted each other, got into the car. So, and then we now went on, like, okay, this is strange. How comes with somebody else and he didn't tell me? So we talk, get to Brew Bistro. He sits next to me. He's a gentleman, opens the doors, reaches to the lifts, gets us a nice place to sit and all that. So anyway, later I was like, okay, you didn't tell me with your colleague. It's like, actually, our colleagues are many other than this one. The other people from, you know, projects, I think the UK, there's another country, I can't remember. And then he says, I brought him so that you don't feel uncomfortable. I'm like, okay, so if I were alone and there was two guys, that would actually make me really uncomfortable. I was like, oh, okay, sorry, I didn't look at it that way. I was like, then he asked me, why did you bring someone? I was like, for the same reason, you know, because I was like, okay, I'm meeting you for the first time, let's meet with someone. Then it's like, okay. Then he now jokes and says, oh, I really wanted to, you know, give me to somebody else. So I laugh. I'm like, say you what? Okay. Anyway, we continue. You know, we vibe, as in our conversations were deep. It's like there was nobody else at Brew Bistro. You know, his colleagues were there, they joined us, but it was like there was nobody else. So we talk and talk and talk. It's 1 a.m. Both of us have early mornings the next morning. It's already next morning. So, and we didn't want to like leave each other. So I'm like, okay, this is Brew. Let's just walk on that street. You know, there's quite a number of places. Let's go and, you know, let's go and look for somewhere else. And he held my hand, not in any inappropriate way, but you know when you like someone. Anyway, so he holds my hand, and we are walking the streets, and you know, and we're just talking, and there was just something. I'll be very honest with you, I'm not a PDA person and what have you, and especially if, you know, but it felt so, you know, chill. You know, it was really, really nice. So in the long and short of it, I'm like, okay, you know what, you really need to go. I need to drop you off at home. Then let's take it up tomorrow. Then ask him, so what time are you free tomorrow? He says, let's meet from 1. I'll be done. Please just come to this place. And then I was kind of free because Fridays were my easy days. Usually I finished by noon. So I'm like, okay. So I finished, and then I went back home, you know. And I was thinking, like, there's just something here. I can't place my hand on it, and it's making me very uncomfortable, but in a nice way. But remember the season I was in. I was like, oh no, I'm not doing this. I'm dating Jesus. I'm not interested. I'm focused. I'm thinking about my life. I'm like, man, this is crazy. So he was leaving in the 5 a.m. flights, all right? So he needed to be at the airport at around 3 a.m. So I'm like, oh, okay, how is this going to work out? Because if we meet this early and hang out and the vibe is there, then I'll have to, you know, probably go to where he's staying and chill with him. And then, you know, I mean, really, I don't want that thing happening, you know. I don't want anything uncomfortable or something I'm not sure, but because I'm feeling something, and I know he had already said, you know, he really liked me and all that. So I was like, okay, so how do I do this? So I was a smart girl. So what did I do? So I told him, like, okay, I'm a bit caught up. Let's do this. Let's link up at 7, right? Pack out everything, you know, check out. He was staying at an Airbnb in Lavington. I was like, pack everything out, let's meet at a particular place at 7. So me, I was like, okay, we are not going to any nice cozy dinner places. I was going to take him because he had been going to nice posh places the whole week. I was like, I'm going to show you Nairobi, Nairobi. Okay, not ratchet, but yeah. So I told him, we'll go somewhere on Langata Road, and after all, Langata Road is not far from JKIA. So anyway, so he packs out everything, we put everything on the boat. We go to at Uhuru Gardens. There's a place called, I don't know if it's still there. It's called, is it 63 or 69? Less 63 or 60. I think it's 63. Please. So anyway, we go there. I like the place at night. There used to be like you know, bonfires, and you're eating, and it's next to the park, you know, that kind of vibe. So we go there. I wanted him to eat nyama, you know, nyama, ugali, that's barbecue meat with ugali, kachumba, you know, just generally get a feel of Nairobi, not all these places he was eating, you know, steak all the time and all this, you know. So I told him, let's go there. So we went there, we ate a bit. So we stayed there, we were able to talk. They had these really nice places that were elevated huts, you know, and he was like, oh, this is really cool. And it's in the city, you know, he really loved the vibe. So, you know, we talked a bit. And then at some point I was so quiet. I was like, not that I don't like what I'm feeling. This feeling is just out of this world. I've never felt it before. There's just a vibe going here. But I don't know, I don't want to complicate my life. There's this look that he has, that he looks very settled. So I was like, are you even sure this guy is not married? He looks too settled to just be single. So I'm like, okay. Then he asked me, like, what's up? Where are you? He used to call me Omoge then. You know, Omoge, what's up? what's going on? What's on your mind? Tell me. I'm like, oh, by the way, you know, you're telling me you like me and all that. I mean, are you seeing someone? Are you married? It's like he laughed. He said, do I look married? I said, no, seriously. I mean, you know me, it's either I go home and you've already packed out of where you are and it's unfair. So you tell me what's going on. I said, no, I don't have anybody. So I'm like, I go into, you know, Kenyan women. They're very sharp. So I tell him, are you sure there's nobody that thinks you're seeing them? Like, for real, for real. Like, are you sure nobody thinks that you're together? Are you, please don't involve me in things that I can't. I know I can't do that thing. You know, some of us come with a bit of, you know, like, please, let's not, don't, you know, because your flight is, I need to drop you off at 3 a.m. and we still have a few hours to go. So let's not complicate matters, and it's not okay. I'm just in this season. It's like, don't worry, you know what? I'm not seeing anybody. I don't have a child. I don't have a baby mama. I've never been married. And I like you. And I've liked you for a really long time. You know? I've longer than you even know. You know? So just chill. Let's enjoy the rest of our hours together, because I don't want us regretting that we didn't, you know? So I was like, you know what? He has said what he has said. There's no way I can verify at this point in time. And then he's like, and I asked him, why aren't you asking me if I'm single? He's like, I know. I'm like, how do you know? So I start playing offense, like, how do you know that I'm single? He's like, I know, trust me, I know. So anyway, in another time, I'll tell you about, about how he knew and all that. So anyway, so he knows I'm single and I'm available and what have you. So he tells me, you know what? I've liked you for a really long time and I want you. And I just don't want to date you. I want to marry you. I want to court you and I want to marry you. I'm like, guy, is it the drinks? There's like, which drinks? He just had, I think, one drink. He was like, no, I've been meaning to tell you since the day I landed. You know, whether or not the workshop came along, I was going to find you and I was going to tell you in this season. So I was like, okay, I hear you. You know, you just don't say, yeah. So like, okay. So please, let me just treat you as a lady. And he was a perfect gentleman. So after that, I tell him, okay, let me show you Nairobi. So across the road, I'm sure all of you know 1824. So I tell him, okay, it was a Thursday, and Thursdays used to happen, yeah? So we crossed over to 1824 because you can only stay so long in that place. And I think they were playing rumba and he was not getting it. So we go and I was telling him how at these places, if Nigerian music is not played, you don't feel like you're out. So we go there and they're playing Nigerian music non-stop. People, we enjoyed, we danced. I don't usually dance, I don't do that kind of thing, but man, he's the only man I've ever danced with, and we danced for hours. Guys, he almost missed his flight. Do you know it got so bad that we were like, oh shit, it's 4:15 a.m. your flight is at, I think, 5 or 5:15, I'm not sure, 5:30. You know, anyway, luckily we weren't far and there was no traffic. Within 10 minutes we're at the airport. So we reached at the airport and it's like, it doesn't seem like a, you know, goodbye. So, you know, we say our goodbyes, but it's still awkward. Like, how do you say this goodbye? So he hugs me and he lifts me off the ground. And nobody had ever done that before. Maybe I've lived a very boring life. And there was just something there. But when we're saying goodbye, I wasn't sad. He says he wasn't sad. It just felt like a comma, you know, not full stop, you know. Because sometimes you're like, okay, this person will just get on the flight and that will be it. And maybe you come back to Kenya for work, or I'll go to Nigeria for work. You know, that kind of thing. But it didn't feel like that. So anyway, he boards his flight and goes. So I go home. You know, time moves. I think by midday he was already in Lagos. So he calls me, oh, I've landed and I already missed you. And I think by the time he was on his layover, I'd already received a message, oh, I miss you already and all that. I was like, wow. That was like 2 hours after we parted, because he was going through Addis. So anyway, he calls me when he's in Lagos, when he lands, and he's like, oh, I really miss you. I feel like we needed more time. And he starts saying he regrets why he didn't extend. He should have extended and left maybe on Sunday, because he had work on Monday. And then he tells me that it's because I was avoiding him in the beginning of the week. And then I started feeling like, yeah, by the way, maybe we had talked before and, you know, maybe he would have extended and maybe would have had more time together, because I mean, we really enjoyed each other's company. But we're like, you know what, it's all right. So he goes, you know, he settles himself, and then in the evening I'm going for a walk in my estate. So I you know, I would dress up in my, you know, my nice workout clothes, and then he video calls and we're talking, and he's like, where are you going dressed like that? I'm like, what do you mean? And then he's like, my woman, everybody will want you. Even when you're fully clothed, you're irresistible. I'm like, is this Niger charm or what? Like, why is this guy talking to me like this? Why is he wanting to mess me up like that? I tell him, oh, by the way, as a matter of fact, why I'm going early is because I'm avoiding a particular place. So there's a gym in our estate, and I'm like, there's some guy there that waits. If I go there, if I pass there around 7:30, so I'm trying to pass there early and what have you. So I know you're my woman, and yeah, I mean, what I say, go and put on a t-shirt or something. I'm like, dude, you don't tell me what to do. Okay, I didn't say that, but I'm thinking, I like the guts. You know how, you know how it is. We say, you can't tell much, but when you like somebody, you're like, okay. And I went and I adjusted, and you know, we continued and continued. Anyway, long and story short is that we, from that day we met, from that day on, we started courting. He told me, I'm not dating you because we are not trying this. You're my wife. I know it with every fiber of my being. So from today henceforth, just know we are working towards marriage in the, you know, even within the year. I'm thinking, guy, this was March 31st, so by then it's already 1st of April. And I'm like, by the end of the year, we live in different countries. Yes, I know, but how now? He told me, don't worry. So anyway, we continue, and it's like, so in May is my birthday. He says, you know what, come to Nigeria for your birthday. I mean, let me treat you for your birthday. And I'm like, isn't it too soon? You remember the season I was in? I was very faithful to my season. So anyway, I didn't go in May. He was like, when are you coming? Come in June, come in July. Mom's birthday is in June. Like, come over for my mom's birthday, not actually July. And I was like, oh no, not yet. He wants me to meet his mom already and all that. So anyway, what I did is that I went, I got my visa, it was ready. I was like, the day I wake up and I'm like, I feel like I'm ready, I'll just get my ticket and go. I mean, it's just the airport and you go. What's the big deal? So I had my visa ready, and I knew if I woke up this morning and decided to go, I can go. Just, you know. So the long and short of it, we continued, and it was so wonderful. Maybe in another time I'll give details of how we courted and what have you, but it was so deliberate. I've never been courted this way. You know, the old-fashioned way mixed with modern, like, you know, as in a man who knows himself in all ways, and he was present in all aspects of my life. And him, as in, you can date somebody who's in the same city with you, right? I mean, I've dated people in Nairobi. I was in Nairobi, but this one felt like he was next to me all the damn time. And it's not about that he was calling me all the time or we used to talk, no, but there's just something about how deliberate he was, how intentional he was about our courting period. And if, as in, I don't know how to explain it, but it doesn't mean that you're in the same city that you feel close. He was there all through. Anyway, I'll tell you about the time that you know, when I finally went to Nigeria. But long and short of it is that that's how we met. Obama did it, God did it. We did it because, you know, we're exceptional people, and we happen to be in the same network of young African leaders, professionals doing amazing work till date. I mean, people have gone on to do amazing work all over the world. Yeah, so that's how we met. So on the second thing of why I really moved to Nigeria is because first and foremost, I was supposed to move to Nigeria in 2017 for a work project. So there was this program I was supposed to lead, amazing program, very lucrative. But I was still, like I said, I was in that season like, do I want to uproot my life from Kenya to go to Nigeria? And this was prior to us even, you know, starting out, you know, courting and dating and all that. But I wasn't ready, because surely our work is that they do maybe 1 year or 2 years renewable, or 3 years. Like, do I approach my life to Nigeria, go start all over for a short period? Although the money is amazing, you know, you get your dollars and all that. So, but I was in that season and I was faithful to my season. And I always feel like if I'd moved to Nigeria, then we probably would not have met the way we met. I feel like we met the way we were supposed to meet and things went correctly because of, you know, both of us just honoring our times and our season. So anyway, when time to to decide where to live came, everyone thought that we were going to settle in Nairobi. I mean, you know, Kenya, Nigeria, everyone is trying to move away from Nigeria and all that. But the reason I really moved to Nigeria is because, first and foremost, I'm a believer, I'm a Christian. And the Bible says we should follow these people because they are our leaders. Anyway, aside from that, it's because I know the mentality that people have towards Nigerians in Kenya. I'm sorry, not just in Kenya, but across, all over Africa, but also Kenya. And I didn't want anybody feeling like he had come to live off me, you know. I had my full life, I had everything. I mean, I had everything going, and it would have been very easy for him to just come over to Kenya and you know, life moves, you know, because I mean, Kenya is a better country in so many ways. Let's just say the truth as it is. So, and or even his friends, everybody was like, why don't you guys stay back in Kenya? But I didn't want, he was marrying me. I mean, yes, we were marrying each other, but he's the head of the family. And I know people always say go where life is better, but for me, I feel like the decision, the conscious decision for me to move to where he was has really helped us in our relationship till date, right? So, and honestly, please, if men want to move into women's houses, I mean, it's up to you. I mean, I know that's happening a lot. I mean, most ladies have better homes and better houses than, you know, the people they are dating. But for us, we are both very traditional people. We are 80s kids, you know, brought up very traditionally with particular values. And, you know, I said, you know what, I have chosen him. He has chosen me. And I know what marriage is. I'm very traditional in the way I view marriage, you know. That if I've decided to marry this man, then I have agreed that he should be, you know, the leader of our home. And I said, you know what, I'm going to move to where he is. Now, this is the thing. He didn't live in Abuja. He didn't live in Lagos. He lived in another state. I am a city girl, born and brought up in Nairobi. So that was, but anyway, I'd visited, I mean, by then, you know, I'd visited and I knew the city. But the main reason I moved to Nigeria is because of that. I wanted us to start on the right footing, you know, with him being the head of the home, with him leading, you know, in his space where he's comfortable. Not in Nairobi where everybody will be saying, oh, this Nigerian has come and married the Kenyan. And no, I didn't want that. I wanted him to maintain his respect as a man. I didn't want anybody questioning his manhood at any one point. Because let me tell you, how you start and how you expose yourselves, that impression never leaves. Even if he became president one day, people say, Chebby is the man that moved into his wife's house. Chebby, he's the man that was married by that Kenyan woman. No. So the real reason, you know, we moved, despite Kenya, you know, having better opportunities and all that. I mean, we could even have moved to another place like the US or the UK, wherever we wanted. But it was very important that, you know, I needed to go to him. It was very important as per our short and medium plans. Having children, they needed to know their fatherland, you know. It was really important for me to understand him because, you know, coming from different cultural settings and all that, I mean, it was very, very important because if I've decided that you're my husband, you're my leader, you know, you're my covering, I need to understand you, you know, and, you know, Nigerians are not very easy to, you know, also just understand. So anyway, that's the real reason why I moved to Nigeria, other than, of course, the better opportunities in Kenya and all that. But the main reason was because I feel that that was the best decision for us. Anyway, so that's how I met my Nigerian husband. I'm really happy to be telling this story because we've been married over 5 years now, right? And we've been blessed with children and we've been blessed in so many ways. So yeah, there are good Nigerian men out here. I know the rap is really bad about Nigerians generally and Nigerian men. Please, how you meet someone, how you know someone, what binds you, you know, what your common interests are is what really matters, whether the person is Nigerian or Japanese or from wherever. So yes, I did meet a Yoruba angel, as I like to call him. I really did meet a great Nigerian man in so many ways. And here we are many years later, and I'm really happy to, you know, be here. And he is the one that has also helped me overcome my shyness and be able to bring to you interesting stories about Nigeria from a Kenya. So this officially kickstarts the Kenya-Niger series. So stay tuned for more. Like us, you know, subscribe, and see you on the next one. Bye.